Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Sunday services at Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. We are a loving and prospering community in the heart of Denver and online. We now conduct hybrid services at the historic Grant Avenue Community Center and Sacred Place, located at 216 South Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. All are welcomed here. A place, space, and face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles that enrich our lives. We are grateful that you have blessed us with your presence. While online, we'd love to know you're watching with us. Feel free to leave a comment and let everyone appreciate you. With everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. CSL Denver wants you to know we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for personal prayer work. Our licensed spiritual practitioners' names and phone numbers are available on our website at csldenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, feel free to email it to info@csldenver.org. For your convenience, you'll find clickable links in the description of this broadcast. Rev El Zia, along with all our guest speakers, practitioners, service coordinators, and musical inspirations, want you to know how truly grateful we are that you are with us today. Thank you for your continued support and participation in our services, workshops, and events, as well as providing financial contributions to our center. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Sign up by visiting www.csldenver.org. We deliver services in a hybrid format where we meet in person at 216 South Grant Street. We will also continue to live stream all services on Facebook and YouTube every Sunday. Find us on our respective channels as well as on New Thought Media Network. Again, thank you for your precious attention. Now prepare for engaging enlightenment.
There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you.
I'm Rumi, engineer. I guess everybody knows. I'm a practitioner. And let's start with a prayer. If you'd like to, please close your eyes and know that we are here in this sacred space, blessed and welcomed by our source, by all that is. I bless everyone who is here today and those who are watching us online and all those who are worshiping in their own way, in nature, in mosques, and particularly, I bless the words of Reverend Christina, the music, and we add Reverend Elzia in our blessing where he's speaking at Althea today. So with great gratitude, I release my words into the law, knowing that love is manifest right here. And together we say, and so it is. And today's reading is actually from our Science of Mind magazine this month, from the article Emotions, Thoughts, Practices Define Self-Care, because this is our self-care month. It's by Ellen Swazo. The mind is crucial to self-care. Your thoughts are intangible, like spiritual tools you can use to unlock so many doors you didn't know you could open. The thoughts you use to plan and execute must be accompanied by emotions, as it is the feeling fuel that creates the desired outcome. As a human, you are full of many emotions, most of which we characterize as positive or negative. Let's use the relationship between joy and grief as an example. Joy is a powerful feeling that can be used as a tool in overcoming grief. However, it is seemingly impossible to get a hold of joy in the face of grief. Grief and joy are found in the mind, but we know grief adversely affects a person's life. These emotions are so powerful that when they are in the mind and body, they can cause a physical outburst. In times of grief, it is important to have an outlet. An appropriate outlet will help you express grief in the best way you are called to do so. Building a tent for grief alone for a long time is unhealthy, which is why finding an inlet for joy is crucial for keeping a healthy balance between both. And there's a saying by Marcel Proust where it says, happiness is beneficial for the body, but it is grief that develops the powers of the mind. And Aeschylus, Greek, said, "There is no pain so great as the memory of joy in present grief." And our founder, Ernest Holmes, "There is something in you and in me that transcends tragedy and sorrow and grief and loss. Power perennially springs from the innermost recesses of that unborn reality which is evermore being born in us today." And so it is. And now for a song by Bob Sima.
There's a shadow on the wall, there's a bomb about to fall, there's a knocking on the door, it's not so gentle anymore, and there's a bird about to fly, there's a herd on the run. It's beginning to be so clear they might know something that we don't, and there's a rising of the tide, there's an anger in the sky, there's a frequency and vibration that will not be denied, and there's a phone about to ring. It's a call we got to take. It's a message from the future, a blast from the past, and it's calling out your name to light your fire. Fan your flame. Do what you must be, still be strong, be bold, be brave, and meditate. Go to your altar. It starts inside. Raise your hands, raise your hearts, raise your voice, raise your thoughts, raise the vibe, raise the vibe. Everything we thought we knew is all up for review. Everything gonna change for the better, it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. And we sang this song before, we danced all over this floor, but the whisper we heard in the breeze, my friend, it's turned into a roar. To light your fire, fan your flame. Do what you must be, still be strong, be bold, be brave, and meditate. Go to your altar, it starts inside. Raise your hands, raise your hearts, raise your voice, raise your thoughts, raise the vibe, raise the vibe, raise the vibe, raise the vibe. Every hand you touch, every eye you see, every breath you take, every word you speak, every truth will begin to rise, every lie will finally die, and the end will come to the fear and shame. Everything will be called out by its name. No, nothing hides and nothing slides, and only love survives. Raise the vibe.
That was amazing. Thank you, Bob. And I'd like to thank CSL Denver for inviting me back, along with Reverend Elzia. And Diego's running our support and production. I'd like to thank Diego. Raise your vibe, that's beautiful. That's such a key to this month's topic of self-care. It's essential to raise your vibe. But a lot of times, there's grief. In the Alchemy of Grief, when Alice, wonderful practitioner and support staff here, along with Reverend Elzia, presented this to me, I love the word alchemy. And the grief can be heavy. But every time I meditated and prepared for this talk, I was thinking of gold. I got Alchemy of Grief gold. Grief gold kept coming up. And I realized something. And it came early this morning, like 4 in the morning. And my grief can turn to gold. That's it. And alchemy, like some people may know, is from, oh God, I even think millions of years ago, but they can trace back to the Knights Templar. Well, Jesus turned lead to gold. King Solomon turned lead to gold, water to wine. And with grief, it is part of self-care. I know a lot of times it doesn't feel that way when you're in it. The crying, maybe sometimes even the depression, the sadness. I know for me, sometimes I get sick to my stomach from grief. Like you just feel yourself bending over before you can rise up. But it's a shifting energy for when you come out of it. And our first slide, I looked up at what Ernest Holmes said about grief. And Diego, if you could put up that first slide, please. Grief is not a disorder, a disease, or a sign of weakness. It is an emotional, physical, and spiritual necessity. It is the price we pay for love. The only cure for grief is to grieve and live life to the fullest. We are capable at each moment. That's the only cure. When I found that, I'm pretty sure I've read it before, but it really hit. And I'll share a brief story of my husband and I went on a beautiful trip from southern Colorado, road trip all the way to Sedona, came back up, came home, rested, feeling happy, and the phone calls and the texts. We didn't get the news till we got home that my husband had lost a friend to suicide who has struggled with mental health, and a friend that was a sensei that helped support him in martial arts had a heart attack the same day. I get phone calls of friends in hospitals and friends that are struggling through cancer. It was a lot. This was in less than 24 hours of coming back home. Yes, I wanted to go back on the road. Do over. What happened? And I experienced my husband go through two sides of grief. One was the suicide of how this person released their body. It was in a very violent way and didn't seek help. And there was a lot of ignoring. There was a lot of lack of support of everyone thinking, oh, he'll be fine, where he wasn't. And the other lack of support of his friend that was sent home when they said he'll be okay. He had a heart attack at home after coming from the hospital. It was as if, as I watched my husband, who by the way has allowed me to share these stories, grieve in two different ways. And then I'm going through potential grief, even though I believe in these teachings, hearing not one, but three friends in health challenges, major. I'm going, what the heck? So I was in my own like pre-grieving, grieving with him, watching him grieve. And there was so much going on that it was a different type of energy I felt. Because usually, at least in my experience, you hear of a death or a passing. It's not within a week, or many challenges within a week. And I realized there was something for us to go through. It's not a coincidence. Coming through all these spiritual vortexes, I see now it was preparing for what was headed at home, that we could not see the bigger picture. And I was crying, sad, mad, glad. In 1 hour, I think I went through everything. I'm like, what am I, bipolar now? What's going on? I was going through so much, but it's not a weakness. To see my husband cry, go from crying to anger, going through almost like those 7 stages of grief in a week, even though still in it, but it's different. And I found myself crying for the world. I went in my front yard, I'm like crying for the world. And then I think about tears And I felt a release. And there's power in tears because there's salt in our tears. And salt is healing. We take salt baths. Salt is a ritual for thousands of years. So I was like, well, the tears are part of a healing for me. So I can help be a presence. So we all can be a presence for others. Because I realize sometimes self-care and grief, you don't hear that together. And then with COVID, we've been in a lot of grief. We are grieving old. We're releasing old. And I know for me and my family, we lost people due to the COVID virus. Still in that as we're coming through it, but there are still people that are choosing to leave on the planet. And also how are we choosing to release? That release brings in new. And in our next slide, Deepak Chopra says, in the process of letting go, you will lose many things from the past, but you will find yourself. You will find yourself. And in finding yourself, that is linked to self-care. And I feel and know that is linked to alchemy. We cannot move forward in anything unless we release the old. I found myself coming back home, and even people that I know, a lot of people I know are purging garage sales and letting go. I'm also being called to look at maybe some friendships I thought were close friendships. They're not. Maybe they're just acquaintances, even though I may have known certain people a long time. Maybe it's time for me to release what I made up. About, is that really a close friend? No, that's really not. That's an acquaintance that I don't have to release them totally by not speaking to and engaging with. But maybe it's time for us to even grieve things that's not so physical as a beautiful human being. What are we willing to grieve and release and let go of? If we're willing to sit and meditate, be still and know, as Spirit says, and ask ourselves, are we willing to grieve? Are we willing to release? And once we release, are we willing to even grieve that release? And watch the alchemy of our life transform. I believe I got this beautiful download from Spirit saying, like we hear about 7 stages of grief. Maybe there's 3. I got that as a possibility. First, I got this word hit, because it's like a hit. Even if you know someone's leaving, it felt like a hit a couple of weeks ago of so much at one time. It felt like a hit, like almost like a gut punch. I say I felt that during COVID. I mean, it was overnight. We were shut down, and seeing everything and hearing about people really sick and people leaving, people we know and love. It feels like a jolt because you're going about your day, but sometimes release is unexpected. And then this middle part happens where the salt, the tears, the crying, the reaching out for prayer. That's how you take care of yourself. The meditation, or sometimes just sitting there with it. I call it the oh my God tears. When you're really, you feel your body viscerally releasing. And sometimes it does feel like you don't want to get out of bed, but sometimes that's taking care of yourself. That is self-care. To allow yourself to grieve. That's that, I call that middle, that process, that emerging of heart, open space. And then third, the word resurrection and reconstruction came in. Because there's that moment like, whew, I can't go say to the funeral. I can't hold someone else in prayer as people were holding me in prayer. That I can still cry, and still feel, but I'm able to function. We're able to function. And I know resurrection can trigger people from Christianity, but that's what came through from traditional faiths. But what that really means is a rising above. It's a new life. It's a release. It's a reconstruction. So, okay, I lost some people, places, things, energies. People are losing jobs right now. I just heard a major company laid off 36,000 people. That's a lot. That's a lot. And those people will go through a form of grief. So many times it's not that. And that resurrection is how you come out on the other side. It's how you are in the present moment. When you're in that grief, is that self-care. How are you in that moment? And that resurrection, Diego, you put up the next slide, please. The resurrection is the key to reconstruction, leads to joy, glory, and light. Resurrection is the key to reconstruction, leads to joy, glory, and light. That's where I feel I'm right now with the reconstruction. And I know there's more. There's more energy. Life's going to continue to move. This is an interesting year we're in, and we're not even halfway through. So for me, I've been asking, okay, Spirit, continue to prepare me for what grief that I may know that's coming or not know what's coming. What's wanting to release so something can be reborn in me, in us. What can be released to be reborn to maybe peace? Maybe our whole world is holding on to such old energy, it won't grieve that the old is gone. Our current status on this planet is still trying to hold on. Even looking at the Ukraine, that there is a man that is one of us. Putin is one of us. We're all children of the divine. There's an ego there that wants to control and wants the old Soviet Union. Maybe there's a possibility there's hundreds of thousands of people in Russia having grieved that the Soviet Union is gone and been gone. It's causing me to contemplate, how are we not grieving old energies, old policies, old politics? So we're willing to fight and kill and cause disruption to keep the old, because we've never allowed the alchemy of grief to unfold into a new world of divine potentiality. There is something going on. So therefore, I'm feeling, what can we release? Old baggage? What can we grieve? Old energies? Maybe arguments with some of our family and friends, like, oh, like, remember when you did something 10 years ago at Christmas? Yeah. Maybe it's time to let that go and grieve that. That was the old you. None of us are the same that we were 5 years ago. Energetically, the planet has shifted. The stars are realigning. The planets are moving. So maybe not only the alchemy of grief is not just our friends, family, and loved ones, but it's everything. Like, say, a favorite pair of shoes that don't fit anymore. Or even, my body doesn't feel the same that it did in its 20s. Maybe instead of trying to go backwards in time, you live in the present, grieve the old, and embrace the new. And this next slide is an affirmation that Spirit joyously gave to me. I am resolute in releasing with ease. I'm going to say that again. I am resolute in releasing with ease, and I accept new with love and joy. I even get the word newness now. Newness with love and joy. Being resolute means divine focus. Spirit was resolute, is resolute in creating our bodies, the earth, and all the planets and galaxies. Being resolute is Buddha, Krishna, higher consciousness, Mohammed. They were resolute. Maya Angelou, resolute. Being resolute, meaning that you are willing to release and accept newness. And that newness can bring joy and love and divine guidance. That's that energy. That's that feeling temple. And even I invite you to maybe create your own affirmation. Ask Spirit in prayer and contemplation, what's my affirmation that I'm willing to release and accept the joy and the love? If you want more money, love, happiness, and health, you got to get rid of something. And when you release it, grieve it. Burn a candle. Let it go. For years after I clean a room, I burn incense and a candle. There's a friend of mine 18 years ago who's no longer on this planet, who left, says she learned from an old shaman when she was in her 20s. Every time you clean a room, even if it's a bathroom, you light a little candle because you release the dirt and you're inviting in the light. So I trust and know that as we are grieving the old and releasing friends and family or old energies or jobs or homes or careers or whatever it is, pets, know that there is a light on the other side. As Psalm 35 says, joy cometh in the morning. Joy cometh in the morning. Hold on to the joy. That's your self-care. You will get through because none of us are alone. Spirit is with us. Reach out to practitioners, prayer support, spiritual community when you are in grief. Do not do it by yourself because Spirit is with you. Ask for help and cry. Fall into a friend's arms and cry. And know that joy is coming in the morning. And with that, I invite you, if you're willing, and our brothers and sisters on Zoom and YouTube, thank you. I invite you, if you're willing and able, gently close your eyes. For Spirit is here all the time, 24/7, never off, in our bodies, in our hearts, in our minds, in the joy, in the grief, in the resurrection, in the rebirth, in the light. I know for myself, I know for CSL, I know for everyone in this room and watching through the beautiful ethers of the internet, that joy is self-love. I affirm that in the grief, in the release of the salty tears, we are blessing ourselves, for we are a blessing to others. And there's a holistic energy of an alchemy of grief gold, because that grief turns to gold. It cannot help but do that. There's a beautiful energy. And I am grateful for CSL Denver. I'm grateful for everyone listening and hearing these words that are being downloaded in the beautiful divine light of joy, of love, and peace, and happiness. For grief is beautiful divine acceptance of who we are as spiritual beings having a human experience. I am grateful for that acceptance and that knowing. And I now release these beautiful words into the divine, loving, joy-filled law, where it is done and complete. And so it is.
Now it's time for us to express our gratitude. We are so grateful and blessed for everyone's support for CSL Denver, whether it's in time, treasure, or talent, and especially during this time of change. Whether this is your first time joining us or you're a returning community participant, we want to thank you for your continuing financial support of the important work we are striving to provide. Right now, there are several ways you can make your financial contribution to the Center for Spiritual Living Denver. This information is running along the bottom of the screen. Please note that we have a new text to give phone number if you're choosing to donate that way. The number is 616-441-0689. Now let us go to our usual affirmation. Please hold your gift or put your hand on your heart and repeat with me. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive, and so it is. And now, as we usually mention, if you would like to hear some good news of the world, to affirm the good in the world, we have a link on our Facebook page called And Now the Good News. This program is put together by New Thought Media Network and airs on Fridays at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, or you can watch these anytime during the week. Just go to the Center for Spiritual Living Denver Facebook page and click on any post that says, And Now the Good News. New Thought Media Network has over 40 hours of weekly broadcast programs, including prayer time at 8:15 a.m. and p.m. every day, Wisdom of the Mystics and Finding the Joy in the Journey, along with New Thought Radio to name only a few. They've also recently added a prayer time in Spanish, as well as 40 Days to Love in both Spanish and English. We invite you to go to www.ntmedia.org and check out what they have. There's something for everyone. We have older Science of Mind magazines for free on the table next to the fellowship table, and we still have a few copies of the June Science of Mind magazine available for sale for $4. We know that as we move through this year and all the experience that it holds, the Divine Beloved is guiding and loving each and every one of us. We are so happy that we are able to meet in person every Sunday as well as online. Thank you for joining us. Now let's close out with Chris Chickering singing A Prayer for Who We Really Are. Please join us for fellowship after this. And thank you.
This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are light, we are sunshine, we are what we believe. We are hope, we are promise of everything that's yet to be. We are bliss, we are laughter, we are flowers in the spring. We are life, ever flowing, and these are the words that we will sing. prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are strong, we are fearless. We find the comfort in our souls. We are real, we are open to the destiny that's ours to hold. This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. We are here, we are present in every moment that we breathe. We are peace, we are freedom, and this is a song for you and me. Yeah, this is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really. This is a prayer for the love within us. This is a prayer to release our hearts. This is a prayer that we carry with us. This is a prayer for who we really are. Who we really are. Who we really are.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.